Ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. So investments are really important, and making sure you look after them and keeping them in a good condition is equally important. So how do you make that happen when you give the property to the tenant? How do you make sure it's returned in a good condition? Let's figure it out. Hi, I'm Zahid here from Abbey Property, and today I'm going to be showing you what's the inventory, what's the importance of it, and how to get it produced. There's loads of other details in the article, so make sure you read them down below. That will help you out. Reason being is we're always updating it, so that'll be more up to date than the video right now. At the end, I'm also going to produce a report, and in the article there'll be loads of links there where you can download the report just to see exactly what we produced today, just give you an idea or a template to work with as well. So whilst the check-in report is very important, a checkout report is equally important as well, and also understanding what fair wear and tear is really important as well, to make sure you get the right result at the end of your tenancy. Getting this wrong will lead to a lot of distress, so make sure to keep watching. Towards the end of the video I'll explain a bit more about that. Let's head on inside. So we've got a new tenant moving in today, and naturally we want to make sure that when the property is given back to us, it's given back in a good condition. So just like renting out a car, you want to make sure that the car is returned back in a good condition without any damages. So an inventory can be done in many ways. You can have it written down on a piece of paper, you can have it down, printed out, etc., whatever you like. The way I'm going to do it today is in a PDF format, so it's going to have pictures embedded into it. It's going to have a description of the property as well, and also it's going to have an electronic signature into it, making it robust and indisputable. There's 9 things you want to make sure that you have in place in order to make a robust inventory, and I'll be going over them now. Also, I might be adding more onto them as well, so definitely check out the article. They'll have a lot more detail inside it. So point number 1 is the property address. This might sound really obvious, but a lot of people tend to miss it out, and if you need to prove to the adjudicator the property was in a good condition, how will you prove it was the right property in the first place? That's point number 1. Point number 2 is the tenant's name. Again, very, very easily missed out, but how are you going to prove that it was this tenant that you're referring to in the inventory, or the previous tenant, or the one before that, or the one before that? So simply make sure the tenant's name is definitely mentioned in there. Point number 3 is embedded photos, and the reason why they're important is because it's really important that you relate the report to the photos. And also the reason photos are very important is something like this. You've got a tear this sort of size. How can you describe this? So for example, you might say there's a small little tear right next to the sofa, and if you take a picture of it, you can easily check the progress of that. So by the end of this tenant moves out, if it's more ripped, then you know exactly how far the rip has gone. But if you write just a description, then you won't get a good idea of exactly how much progress has been made. Equally, the photos should be embedded inside the report itself. So as you can see from here, this is all the photos that are embedded into the report, and it's very easily related that this photo belongs to this report very clearly. When you're taking photos, it's really, really important that you cover the whole property. So I'm going to give you a few examples here. Might not be the full extensive list. Refer again back to the article, as we're going to be adding more and more things to it. So a couple of things that you possibly may miss out, and you definitely want to capture these, are, for example, the inside of a kitchen units, the inside of a fridge, inside of an oven, inside of a washing machine, inside of a bathroom vanity unit, inside of the wardrobes, and if it's a house, you want to definitely capture the garden, and you also want to make sure you capture the front driveway, etc. as well. Point number 4 is the description. It's really, really important to mention inside the inventory who the furniture, etc., or anything else belongs to. So let's say, for example, you have Sarah who's living inside your property right now, and she's about to leave, and Adam wants to come into the property and live in here. Now Adam decides to buy the sofa that Sarah wants to leave behind. Now at the end of it, you want to make sure that Adam has taken the responsibility to remove the sofa after he's left. If you don't mention inside the inventory who the sofa belongs to, it'll become your responsibility, and you want to avoid that. And a simple way of doing that is writing in the description that such a piece of furniture belongs to the new tenant because he's purchased it from a different tenant. And if you are given the property furnished, make sure to detail exactly the condition of the property if it has damage or it doesn't have inside it. Point number 5 is safety alarms and testing also the functionality of the property as well. So for example here, just grab something that's nearby, like a stick, if you can't reach the fire alarm, and test it out. And whilst you're doing it, make sure you document that you did test the alarms before handing over the property as well. And whilst you're at it, make sure everything is functional inside the property as well, such as the intercom, the fridge, freezer, any electrical stuff that's inside the property, the bathroom taps, and make sure the toilet flushes, etc., everything as well. And make sure to also check out the windows to see it's all functional. And now that takes us to point number 6, which is keeping a record of all the keys, permits, etc., anything that you give with the property. Every property is different, so just keep that into consideration. So this is a new development. We've got a fob here, flat key, window key, bin keys, letterbox keys. You've also got contact details for the concierge. You've also got parking permits here as well that you want to keep a record of. Also, new developments tend to come with welcome packs. If you do give a welcome pack, it's really valuable. You want to make sure that you get it back from the tenant to be able to give it to the next tenant as well. And that brings me to now point number 7, which is keeping a record of the utility meter readings. Because you don't want to be paying someone else's bill. Let's crack on. So water meters might be totally in a different part of the building, and you'll need this to gain access to all the meter cupboards. And just like with this building, the electric meters are kept separate as well. When you keep a record of the meter readings, make sure to also take a picture. Reason being is because when you're typing it up, you might make a typo, and with a picture, it's clear and evidential as to what the records were. And point number 8 is date and timestamps. Now these are really important, because if the date and the timestamp don't match the tenant move-in date, then you've got a problem. How are you going to explain to the adjudicator that this evidence is reliable without a time and date stamp? Producing an electronic report will make sure the time and date stamp is always present inside the report. Point number 9 is making sure your inventory is signed. Now there's 2 reasons behind this. The first one is because it gives the tenant an opportunity to have a look at the documentation to make sure it accurately represents the property itself, and also to give them a chance to go over the whole document to make sure they're fully satisfied with it before signing it. Now, point number 2 for this is that when they sign the document, that means that they've read it, they've acknowledged it, and also they agree with the content inside the documentation. And by doing this, it makes sure that it shuts all the doors for any excuses that a tenant might make, such as not receiving a copy of the inventory, or that the inventory is misrepresentative of the condition. If you do decide to get a paper-based inventory done, make sure all of the pages are initialed. If you do an electronic report, a signature right at the end will be sufficient, because it's one full document. Now, before I go, like I mentioned earlier on to you, is that the inventory check-in is very important, but equally a checkout report is also important, and understanding fair wear and tear is also important. Without those, you're going to be going through a lot of pain not getting them right. So please leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this content and what other content you want to see in the future. If you've got any questions, also leave a comment. Myself or my team will get back to you and answer it for you. Right, cool. Let's pack up the equipment now and let's head off.